So the first topic of my topics would be level and environments, which I've chosen. The game for this would be Star Citizen. It's a game with beautiful environments, with each planet looking immensely realistic and having a high level of geometrical data. Entering a planet or leaving one feels surreal, from taking off from land, flying through the clouds, passing through the atmosphere, and entering the dark space. It all quite connects in each and every unique way based on what planet they're on. A beautiful space sim. However, there isn't much to do. They can only see the planet but do so little in it. From game breaking bugs to unpolished levels and a desert like quest system, there's one mission per 20 planets depending on each system. And if there is a mission, it will have a bug that will deter from completing it, such as an item being inside an asset unobtainable. To fix these issues, they should start by polishing the game and by fixing the fundamentals of the mission, such as placing items in places where it's obtainable. Add a variety of missions that connect with the environment, like say in a snowy planet, they would require a warm enough suit and be able to survive the harsh cold, having to warm themselves up by, having obviously a warm suit and prevent frostbite. This would enhance the environmental aspect of gameplay by changing the way they play based on the environment they're in. Uh, you know, and you know doing all this would wouldn't really be a big deal. It would just be polishing the game and its performance, as well as improving level design, and it would be much more beneficial to the game. You could also prioritize servability and performance, using meshing or and optimization. Expand non-combat careers such as salvaging, logistics, medical science with deeper missions chains, and improve onboarding UI. So, having more UI for medical or logistics or salvaging. This would influence outside games as well, aerospace engineering, maritime, shipping logistics, emergency services, procedures, and corporate supply chain. It could all follow with those real life scenarios. As you can see in this picture, this is a planet in Star Citizen, and it has quite a lot of trees, but there's nothing really to do with them. And for an example, Sons of the Forest has trees and all that. You can cut them down, you can build a base, and if Star Citizen added those type of features and mechanics, you could create buildings and homes and bases in whatever planet you would like, and it would make all the other planets more meaningful. And as you can see, with each of the planet, there would be different stuff to do with it if we did have mechanics, or and we could add them to each planet. And yeah, the second topic is Golden Quest, and for this we have chosen Mafia 3. The play agency is quite good. You go around killing mafia bosses and taking over warehouses. Each of those taken care of one by one. You climb through the ranks, and just as you do that, you kind of give yourself an influence in the in-game build. You also gain money and passive income while just roaming around or playing the game, as you create an empire. This influence and impact urges the player to keep playing. However, it does have flaws, and one of the biggest flaws is its instrumental goal. The mission after, so you do one mission. After that, the second mission is pretty much the same as the first mission, and it feels like you're not really progressing. And pretty much repetitiveness. They complete a warehouse, kill the boss, next mission, same thing over again, but in a different location. So to fix this, we should add in more linear quests, and have different goals for each warehouse that plays out differently and gives some sort of unique crisis goal for each mission, rather than having to take down just one single boss. So for example, you have a warehouse, and before the mission redesign, you would be go into this warehouse and kill a boss. That's it. The mission will be over. But with the new one, it should be, it could be that the player goes to a warehouse, kills all the enemies. However, the building goes on fire. Then you have to kind of fight through the fire to kill the boss. before, and then leave the building before you get yourself on fire. And then there could be a car chase, or it could be kill all the enemies in the warehouse, um, and then some enemies come and you have to kind of hold the warehouse, kind of like a say balloon tower defense, something like that. And a good example to compare it with would be with the mission kind of repetitiveness, and the design of them as well, is with Max Payne 3, where each kind of level is different to each other, whereas in Mafia 3 each design looks quite different. Each level looks very, very different actually. And yeah, as you can see on the left, Mafia 3, and on the right is on the left is Max Payne 3, and the right is Mafia 3. The biggest difference, pretty much everything. The scenario is different. The clothing looks different as well. The location, the goal, the objective, and the difficulty is all quite different. Whereas on the Mafia, on the right side, with Mafia 3, everything is the same, and it doesn't really enhance the gameplay as you go on through the game and the levels. It won't require too much constraint on the hardware. It will have more allocated time, however, spent on the development. As with different missions, it will require more time on different assets and sequences as opposed to the same sequence in a different location in the world. So, adding fire and more enemy kind of bosses and sequences would require some more development time and assets as well. A change to the spatial navigation during some levels would help engage the player, as it will give a sense of importance to levels that may require them to take down a boss. An example being Maximum 3, where they navigate through rooms in a building, sorry, compared to a hollow warehouse in Mafia 3. So just making it more linear but more cinematic. For the final design proposal, I have chosen Hitman World of Assassination. It's a game, which is kind of like a sandbox assassination simulator. Each level is like a puzzle box where the player can disguise themselves, sneak around, hide, set up accidents to kill the enemies, or not go loud and just go guns blazing. However, each mission kind of is pretty much just that, and one of the biggest weaknesses is how little depth the game has to offer in terms of just other tasks, not just killing the enemies. And the way to fix that is by adding secondary objectives like stealing intel, from a secure terminal, wiping CCTV footage, sabotaging security systems, planting evidence, to trigger target relocation, retrieving unique items from a vault, or arranging a fake emergency that changes guard patrols. And there could be one where you could make it so that the enemy kind of quote unquote commit suicide by injecting them with lethal poison, and then you could also blame that on if people are suspicious, you can blame it on other NPCs and get away with it. And it also kind of changes the whole way the game works, where instead of you just assassinate enemy target, leave unnoticed, instead you can make it seem like the enemy committed suicide, lay out signs of suicide and create suspects. If the assassination was done with the intent of showing suicidal attempt from the enemy, next will not be suspicious of any assassin. So the next mission will be easier because the enemy for the second mission wouldn't have any suspicious of won't be suspicious of anyone trying to kill them or be after them. And it would change the way the second mission would be laid out. So if you actually did kill an enemy, they would be more challenging due to higher levels of security and high alert and whatnot. Also, you could add in like police after the death has been caught. So as you're leaving the building, you have to be careful of your alibi, and if you do get questioned by one of the police, you could tell them that you were here or there. But then this would also come into play, wiping CCTV footage, so that if you do lie, can get away with it. Another example could be in the mission in Miami, where you can actually drive the vehicle instead of just watching the race. Yeah, it would be quite fun, and you could also, like, probably crash into one of the main enemies. And yeah, the redesign is viable because it does kind of just reuse whatever whatever Hitman already has. It would just you'd have to add in a driving mechanic, and the redesign based on storytelling such as Mission Impossible or real world scenarios, as well as real world security procedures. Um, such as incident response or CCTV rooms and access control. And, these events can actually just run back to house logistics, shift patterns, restricted zones. And yeah, the added objectives can make the game more realistic, make it more fun, and yeah, just have a more fun experience. And yeah, that is the final design proposal.